Yo, what's going on, AP people? We have Key Concepts 1.1 of the new AP curriculum, which deals with period 1 from 1491 to 1607. This stuff will definitely be on your test in May. So I'm going to cover the first part of period 1, Key Concept 1.1, and you will know everything that you need to know about this time period for your test. Let's take a look at the new curriculum and figure out what exactly is it saying. Well, Key Concept 1.1 says before the arrival of Europeans, native populations in North America developed a wide variety of social, political, and economic structures based in part on interactions with the environment and each other. And this is from page 23 of the curriculum framework, which is located in the description, and I encourage you to download it to look at it to make sure that you know everything that will be on your test. So the big idea, basically, what is the whole point? What is the whole message of Key Concept 1.1? Basically, it's how did natives adapt to their environment. That's what I will cover today. All right, when we're talking about Native Americans prior to and even after the arrival of Columbus, we're going to focus on one word, and that is maize, which is corn. And around AD 1000, maize agriculture began to spread from Central America throughout North America, especially in the Southwest, so like present day Arizona, and New Mexico. And societies developed vast irrigation systems to transport water to help grow this maize in the Southwest. You're going to think of a group called the Pueblos, which we'll talk about in period 2. And they developed along the Rio Grande. Maize cultivation absolutely transformed societies. You see a less of an emphasis on hunting and gathering, and this will lead to a huge increase of population because now there is a larger food supply. And villages, we will see, will be built around maize fields as well. All right, when we're talking about the Northwest United States, at present day California, we have roughly 300,000 natives that lived there prior to the arrival of Europeans. And most of these societies were based on hunting, gathering, and foraging. And they would gather nuts, and they would also fish a lot and hunt as well. That's how they would live. Societies tended to be ruled by wealthy families. And then we have a group called the Chinooks, and they advocated warrior traditions and they used advanced fighting techniques. And they also developed canoes, and they were able to travel great distances using these. And they lived in longhouses, which could house many families. It was not uncommon to see about 24 people living in these longhouses. All right, the Great Plains and Great Basin is an important part that you should be familiar with. And most natives in these areas lived off of hunting and gathering. There was a huge lack of natural resources in this area. It is a large, flat area. So maybe ask yourself, what the heck is the Great Plains? Well, the Great Plains is pretty much this area here in red. So the middle part of the present day United States. Now, once the Europeans come over, they introduce something called the horse, and this has a huge impact on the Great Plains. Life on the Great Plains is forever altered as a result of the horse. Now, most of the hunting was done hunting bison. They become much easier to hunt during this time because it's a lot faster. You can be quicker on the horse as opposed to running. Natives with horses became stronger militarily, so when they would fight other tribes, they would have an advantage over those tribes that did not have horses. And the Great Basin as well, they would often hunt bison and sheep. And here's the Great Basin over here. You have Nevada and Colorado in those areas. And like the natives on the Great Plains, horses helped natives become more powerful in the Great Basin. All right, let's shift our focus to the Northeast and Atlantic seaboard. Many societies were a mix of hunting and gathering, and agriculture, and developed permanent villages in the Northeast. So we're going to focus on a tribe called the Iroquois. They were located in present-day New York and Pennsylvania. Here are the Iroquois here in purple, and right about here is where I live in Buffalo, New York. So there was at one point lots of Native Americans living here, and there still is a Native American presence as well. They adapted to their environment. Very important to know. That's the big idea again. They would burn forests to hunt and grow crops. So they would clear the forests out. It would make it easier for them to hunt, and then they would also have rich new soil for them to grow crops. And the Iroquois would build villages around maize. There's maize popping up again. The Iroquois were unique in that they were a matriarchal society, which means that power was based on female authority and women were instrumental in councils and decision making. So women played a much larger role during this time period than did women in European societies. And women would tend to crops and they would oversee community affairs while the men were hunting. All right, now that we're done with Key Concept 1.1, let's talk about some test tips for multiple choice questions. Some things that you may see would perhaps be a map of different areas of North America. And this, again, this idea of how did natives adapt to their environment. You see something on the Great Basin. It did not have a lot of natural resources. It was flat, so they would do lots of hunting. Short answer, same exact question you could see, except you'd have to explain it. So I would be familiar with different areas of Southwest, the Great Plains, and then the Northeast. How did natives adapt to their environments? Now, the essay questions, you're not likely to see one because it's from period one. And if you do see one involving period one, it will not exclusively involve period one. It will also involve period 2 or 3, for example. All right, that is Key Concept 1.1. Thank you very much for watching. If you have not already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and help me spread the word. If you have any questions or comments or ideas for videos, feel free to leave them in the comments section below, and I will get back to you. And be sure to check out all my other Key Concept videos in which I will go over chronologically the entire curriculum from Key Concept 1.1 all the way up to including all of period 9. Best of luck on all your exams, especially the AP one in May. Have a good day, guys.